Hey pet lovers, this is Liana with Wet Noses Pet Sitting, and thanks for joining us today. Today we are going to talk about how to know if it's too cold to walk your dog, because we have been having some terrible snowstorms lately in the Colorado area, but also in other areas wherever you're watching this. So we wanted to kind of give this some time and discuss some different ways to know whether it's just too cold to be walking your dog outside. First off, I just want to say that the best indicator about whether it is too cold to walk your dog is your dog himself. So your dog is going to tell you whether they're comfortable, whether they're not comfortable, and how happy they are going out for a walk. Now, it's good for us to have some key information in order to be able to judge these for ourselves. But if your dog is acting uncomfortable, that is going to be your top indicator. So as far as your actual dog goes, fur length is a big consideration. So dogs with these longer or thicker coats, which is the things you see on things like Huskies, Malamutes, those types of breeds that like to be outside in the good cold weather. Newfoundlands, those types of coats. Those guys are able to withstand the cold weather a lot more easily than short-haired dogs. So short-haired dogs, you think labs, pointers, things like that are going to have a much harder time in the cold weather. They are not bred for it to be out for extended periods of time. So anything colder than freezing, and you're definitely going to want to have them wear a jacket and possibly booties. If your dog is cold at a higher temperature, say 40, 50 degrees, then definitely look at getting some clothing and stuff there. And you can, I know that there is a thought that dogs shouldn't wear clothing, but you can get some really nice, very practical jackets and things like that that are just practical for dogs that are not bred to be in the type of weather that we have in this area. A separate note on paws. Sometimes even long-haired dogs have a hard time walking on the cold concrete because of course we would not be walking normally when dogs were bred years and years ago. They were not bred to be walking on cold asphalt and sidewalks and salt. So you want to keep an eye on those things. And even for long-haired dogs, you might want to be getting them shoes or some sort of booties to protect your feet while you have them out. A lot of dogs do grow hair that wraps around their pads and things like that. And there's a mixed results about and theories about trimming that and whatnot, but definitely keep an eye on those feet to make sure that they don't get too cold. I myself have a long-haired dog, and even in the coldest weather, he is happy to go outside as long as his feet do not get too cold. And that is the first thing that I notice from him, is that he's holding his paws up because they're freezing in the snow. The next thing to take into consideration is size and body condition. So smaller dogs are going to have a much harder time, partially because they're close to the ground. And so they feel that snow and that cold much quicker than dogs that have that height difference and that spacing between them and the ground. So definitely smaller dogs are going to have a harder time. You really want to keep an eye on their stomachs and make sure that they're not dragging on the ground or on the snow as they're out walking around. If you are having that, and a good rule of thumb is like 10 degrees and below is going to be too cold for most small dogs for anything more than just a couple minutes. So really don't push exercising dogs that are smaller in the colder weather. Really just do a quick potty break and back in just to make sure that they are staying safe and healthy. Body condition is the other big factor. So dogs that are on the thin side are not going to have as much body heat or fat and insulation in order to keep them warm. So you're going to want to be a little bit more careful about that. And not to say that your dog should be overweight, because overweight dogs have a harder time regulating their temperature and whatnot. But dogs that tend to have a little bit more bulk, a little bit more muscle, have an easier time staying warm than dogs that are on the thin side. The last factor to really consider is just general health conditions. Animals that have health conditions or are elderly have a harder time regulating their body temperatures. So no matter what the temperature outside is, whether it's too hot or too cold, they're going to have a harder time keeping themselves at where they should be. So you're going to really want to keep an eye on that. There are other conditions as well, such as hip dysplasia and things where you do not want dogs walking out. The cold makes those conditions worse, as well as ice and snow. So you really want to be cognizant of the fact that they're just going to have a harder time moving around in those. And just like people who have joint conditions where they get more sore when the weather changes, dogs have those same issues, and they really have a harder time regulating that. So that's definitely something to connect with your vet on to see if there is some way that you can help support them, and whether it be supplements or medications or anything else to help them during those times, especially since they cannot communicate as clearly to us that they're feeling uncomfortable and unhappy with what the weather is doing right now. Definitely subscribe, like, and follow us wherever you are watching this video so that you can see our future videos, and say hello to your pets from us.